And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
At first glance, you might get really excited by Wacky Wacky West because you say, oh, it's by Klaus Teuber. You know, he's the designer of Settlers of Catan, a new game by him. Woohoo! Well, actually, this is an older game by him, which has just been remodeled. It hasn't really been rethemed much, just put into a nice, smaller, more compact box. And so, this is a game in which you are rebuilding a western town and trying not to cover up the plethora of outhouses that are all over the place. Seems like an odd theme. There's voting involved in this game. It's a very interesting group of mechanics. I think it's the kind of game that you're going to just really like, or you're not. It's almost more of a quirky game than anything else, but I think it's pretty fun. Let's take a look at it. Here we have the theme, a Wild West theme, and you can see the board here filled with a plethora of buildings and outhouses. You can see up in this corner up here we have the beginning of a road. Down here we have the beginning of a railroad track. In this corner the beginning of the river and another railroad up there. And so this is how the game begins with this board with the grid built on the board. Each player is given a card secretly that shows which building they are keenly interested in. So you can see this person's interested in the schoolhouses on the board, and there's 6 of those around the board, different colors, and they're numbered. Players will also be given some tiles. These are length 3 tiles, length 2 tiles, and length 1 tiles of the different kinds. You'll have railroad tracks, rivers, roads. So those are the different types. Players are also given a set of voting cards. These are the voting cards that they'll get. Some are positive, the green ones. Some are negative, the red ones. And some are different, and we'll talk about those in a moment. On a player's turn, they must place one of their tiles on the board. So let's pretend that they're placing a railroad tile on the board. So they place a 3-piece railroad on the board like this. They put this worker at the end of the railroad. That shows where the next railroad track is coming from. Each of these tiles has a starting spot and an ending spot, and the ending spot can go in 3 different directions. So the next player could place one like this. A lot of these tiles also, as you can see here, have a bridge so that another kind can come underneath it, like the river, and then the next river could start on the other side. But either way, whenever you place a tile, you put the worker at the new end of the tile. However, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to cover up everyone else's buildings but your own. However, when you cover up an outhouse for any reason, at that point there must be a vote. Everyone is going to play one of their voting cards in the middle, and we will tally up the votes, and if it's yes, the tile is placed. If it's no, you get the tile back, and sorry, your turn's over. You get to keep the tile, but you can't put it there. So we'll add up the yes or no's. See, this one is a double no, 2 minuses. This one's a double plus. We have plus minuses, a triple plus, a triple minus. This guy's a wild. If you play him, you can count for 2 plus or 2 minus. It's your choice, and you can decide after you see what the vote total is. And this means I do not wish to vote at this time. Now, why would you have such a guy in here? Because whenever you play a card, they are all discarded, and you only get to keep this one. If you play this one, you get it back. Otherwise, if you play a card, it's gone for good. So you need to think carefully. Once everyone has played all their tiles on the board, whoever has the most buildings of their type showing is the winner. If there's a tie in that, and that's possible, then whoever has the most vote cards, yes or no, doesn't matter which type, in their hand is the winner. Wacky Wacky West is a remake of an older game, Drunte und Drüber, which won the Spiel des Jahres, the biggest board gaming award in gaming, in 1991. Well, that's almost 20 years ago. And has the game held up since then? Well, it does. It has. The setting has been changed. Before it was in a German town. Now it's in the Wild Wild West. Well, for an American audience, that's probably something that's going to be more attractive to them. And I don't really think that it matters where the setting is. The game is fun because there's tile positioning and placement, and that's interesting to watch the tracks and the river and the road go around the board. But the voting's fun. I like any game where there's voting, and you only have so many cards that you can use. You see a lot of mechanics that we take for granted, and a lot of games that are being played now where maybe they didn't originate with this game, but we can see them in this older game here, where the voting, and when you play a card, you don't get it back, stuff like that. So it works well. I wish it was more players. Voting games are always fun with 5 or 6 players as opposed to just 4. But the game does work. It's very bright, colorful, simple, takes maybe 45 minutes to play. It's not a hard game to play. You play a tile. If it covers up an outhouse, we vote. Keep it, yes or no. And maybe you can even make deals in the game, but it's really not for that. It's just wacky, fun. And it works still. So check it out. You might be interested in getting a copy of this. I'll keep mine.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.